Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This is a tutorial for a vampire look inspired by Buffy the Vampire Slayer. This was a request from a subscriber, so if you are interested, then keep on watching and enjoy. So to create the prosthetic for this look, I used oven bake clay on a cast of my own face. You don't need to have a cast of your own face, you can just use a mannequin head that you can find at any craft store. But make sure that the clay that you are using to create your prosthetic is oven bake or oil based, something that doesn't dry out. To create the design for my prosthetic, I used a reference photo from one of the vampires from Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and then when I was happy with the way that the design looked, I then went and applied liquid latex all over the clay area as well as the surrounding area of the design with a detail paintbrush, just so that I could get into all of the crevices and creases within the design that I had created. Then when I had done a layer of this and had gotten everywhere that I needed the latex to be, I then went and stippled on the rest of the latex, layering it up bit by bit as each layer dried to give the prosthetic more substance. Just make sure that when you are doing this that you are not flooding all of the creases within your prosthetic, as you do not want to lose any of the detail. Make sure to wait for each layer to dry before applying more latex on top. You can use a hairdryer to quicken up the process, and also make sure that the edges of your prosthetic that are away from the clay design itself is thinner than the actual prosthetic design, if that makes sense. That way, when you apply your prosthetic onto your face, it'll integrate a lot better into your skin. Also, as a reference, I did 10 layers in total. And ignore the cheek prosthetics as well, as I did scrap these in the end and decided just to stick with good old contouring instead. Then when you are happy with the amount of layers that you have applied with your latex, go ahead and dust either finishing powder or baby powder or flour over the top of your latex design, just to get rid of the tackiness before you remove it from the clay itself. If you don't do this step, then there is a likelihood that your prosthetic will stick to itself once you try to remove it, and then you run the risk of ruining your entire prosthetic. So do make sure to dust over the top of your prosthetic before starting to remove it. Then when you do want to remove it, lift up carefully an edge of your prosthetic and dust the underside of your prosthetic as well. Not only will this help get rid of the tackiness, but it will also help to remove it from the clay and make it a lot easier to get off. As frustrating as it may be, and if you're as impatient as I am, just keep in mind that this is very important to do carefully and slowly. So do take your time with it, as you do not want to ruin all of the work that you have just put into creating this prosthetic. And then if you have any raised areas on the edges of your prosthetic, then go ahead and take some scissors and trim it down. Moving on to my actual face, I am taking this taupe colour and am buffing it into the crease of my eye as well as the outer corner, and I'm then dragging it down onto my lower lash line as well. From what I could see in the reference photo, there wasn't all that much eye action going on. It was more to do with smoky eyeliner than anything else, so I was keeping it just a little bit minimalistic. Think along the lines of 90s grunge, but just take it down a notch. I am then lining my waterline with a black eyeliner, and I'm then going in with a small angled brush and I'm smoking all of that out. And I'm then repeating the process again on the tops of my eyes, just above my tight line within the lashes, because I don't like lining my tight line. That's basically the only reason. I then applied my contact lenses before doing anything else, as I do have watery eyes, so I wanted them to settle before I continued on with the rest of my makeup. And then it's time to do some serious contouring of those cheekbones. So I'm using my contour powder just underneath my cheekbones as I usually would, but I'm then dragging it down towards the outer corners of my mouth, and then I'm extending it towards my chin, just to give myself more of a sunken in kind of skeletal look. I will be intensifying this a little bit later on once I have applied my prosthetic, but for the time being I just wanted to give myself a guideline as to where I wanted that shadow to be. Apply some mascara because none of this is in the correct order. And then use some petroleum jelly to stick down your eyebrows. And then before sticking down your prosthetic, measure it up to your face to make sure that you are happy with its position. Then to apply my prosthetic, I just lined the outer edges with some more liquid latex and applied it onto my face where I wanted it to be. And when I was happy with the placement, I then smoothed down the edges with my fingers so that all of the outer edges of the prosthetic are lying flush onto my skin. Then if there are any areas that are still sticking up, for example, you haven't applied enough liquid latex on the inside to stick it down, go ahead and lift up the prosthetic where it is still sticking up, apply some more latex and stick it back down. Smooth it out and then wait for it to dry. Then go ahead and start stippling liquid latex onto the outer edges of your design to better incorporate it into your skin. You can then apply several layers on the outside of your prosthetic onto your skin to give you a better gradient from prosthetic to skin. And then for the smaller areas of the prosthetic, you can just cut off a small piece of sponge and stipple more latex onto those areas that are trickier to get to. I will say that when you are doing your eyelids, make sure to keep looking downwards, if that makes sense, so that your eyelids don't stick to each other. And then when you're happy with the placement, go ahead and dust that area with powder before continuing on with the other areas of your prosthetic. Then go ahead and apply your foundation all over your prosthetic and the surrounding area to match it with your skin tone. And then to get into the smaller areas of your prosthetic, just use a smaller makeup brush to get into those tiny little crevices. The foundation that I'm using is a shade lighter than the foundation that I already have on the rest of my face. And the reason for this is because the reference photo that I used had a weird kind of gradient from the furrow of the brow vampire area to the normal face, but you can just keep it the same color all the way throughout your entire face. It's completely up to you. And then go ahead and dust the whole area with translucent powder to set all of that foundation in place. Then taking a fine detailed brush and the same taupe colour that I used for the eyes, I am going into all the creases within the prosthetic to bring them back to life. No pun intended. And I am then taking the same contour shade that I used for my cheeks, and I'm going into all of those areas once again, just to deepen them up ever so slightly. Going back in with that contour powder to chisel out those cheeks. And I'm then taking that same shade onto my temples, as well as around the outer edges of the prosthetic over my forehead, just to give a more naturalistic kind of shadow, even though this isn't really very naturalistic, but I can't help myself. And I'm finally going back into the eye area with that taupe colour, and I'm redefining my crease once again because the prosthetic went over the crease area, and I'm deepening up the outer corners of the eyes as well. Then once you are happy, go ahead and apply your vampire fangs, and this is the finished look. you have it, guys. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up. And if you want to hang around a little while longer, then hit subscribe wherever that big red button is and come and join the madness, because as you can tell, it gets pretty weird around here on a frequent occasion. So a big thank you to Rebecca for requesting this look. I had a lot of fun doing it and I hope I gave it justice. All the products that I used today will be listed in the description bar below, so if you are interested, go and check that one out. If you do have any more requests, feel free to leave them in the comments bar below, as long as any other comments that you want to leave me. I usually respond to all of them. And I think that's basically it. I love these fangs. I've had these since I was like 14. It just goes to show what kind of a kid I was. So just an apology in advance if the lighting in this video was weird. I had to change my lights around several times throughout this video. So I hope you can see stuff. I really do, because from what I can see in the viewfinder, you can't see any of the detail and it's just picking up on things that I can't see in reality, which is kind of weird. Which has never happened before. Which is kind of, yeah, it's really bizarre. So who knows? I hope this video turns out well. We shall see. Fingers crossed. Best of luck to all of us. So until next time, guys, try and stay out of trouble. And I will see you in my next video. Farewell, humans. Bye bye.